Yo, what is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. I'm glad to be here. Hope you guys are as well. We got some more stuff to discuss, and it is in the realm of scouting reports. We're talking Tyjae Spears. We are talking from Tulane, the running back that has gained a lot of steam, a lot of waves because of his good, fabulous Senior Bowl productivity, showcase his talents, showcase some good movements. Everyone started going back to dissect the film, and he is a good talent. I just have some question marks that I want to discuss because I don't know if he's going to be a great talent. But, I mean, that's what this whole process is about, to understand the value of these players. I got you covered with pros, cons, and a grade score. But before we get started, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for me. Let's keep this thing rolling. And let's roll on to Tyjae Spears from Tulane. You know, throughout any kind of draft process, there are players that rise and fall up the board with a lot of media attention, a lot of, gathering from combines, from Senior Bowls, etc., etc. Tyjae Spears is definitely one of those players that has made a name for himself throughout this draft process. Been kind of quiet since then, but he does have a lot of talent that does, make people take notice. Is he going to be the exceptional talent at the next level? That is the question. But for those measurables, he stands at 5'10", 201. It's a good size, 21 years of age, played in 33 contests, 427 in attempts, almost 3,000 yards, 29-10, 6.8 on the average. Very nice. I like it a lot, I'm telling y'all. 31 touchdown rushes. He adds 48 receptions, 564 in yards, 11.8 in the receiving average, and 3 receiving touchdowns. Statistically speaking, for a running back in 33 contests, Tyjae Spears did very well, and we can't say anything bad about the statistical category. Even though when we dive into the pros, you understand the bottom point on my list here, his 2020 stats, he blew up this past year. So he did round out his game. He made us all understand and take notice of what he truly was this past year. Is he a true volume back? 229 does suggest that in attempts, man. He went 229, 1581, and 19 rushing touchdowns in 2022. So a lot of the naysayers, like myself, had to kind of humble ourselves and say, okay, he showcased his talent this past year, and he showcased it with high abundance, high levels of highlight plays, and very much a lot of consistency. So, I mean, we can't go right into the negatives on a Tyjae. I'm going to talk some good positives because there are quite a few. The body frame is fine. He does play bigger than what a lot of people do suggest. And I think that's one of the things that you see a lot of scouts going back and forth on. They believe he's a smaller frame and he's not going to necessarily cut it in the NFL. I believe he plays a little bit bigger than what his frame actually indicates. 5'10", 201 is not a small individual, and he's going to be able to put on some more weight as well, like any other rookie coming into the NFL. So for me, the body frame coming into the league as a rookie is just fine, and I think it's not going to be a detriment, I should say, to his game whatsoever. Very good speed, and like some of these other guys, the tape speed does show better than what the 40 time was. I believe he was in the 4.5, so that does not bode well for the draft stock to say on paper he is a very fast human, but the tape speed does show it. He does break away, at least in the mid-range, where he does find the holes, and he's able to gallop free and make house calls from time to time. So, I mean, he does show very good burst, and I think that's the most important part of his game. I wanted to see it over the accelerators, and he does showcase the burst ability for me to say, yes, that's a check mark, and yes, it was impressive on more occasions than it wasn't. So I do like that about his game as well. He is extremely elusive, and, I mean, the change of direction is absolutely phenomenal. When he is, in the backfield, the holes are closed up in between the tackles, he will make people miss. He will set up his blockers very well, and then he'll bounce it outside. The change of direction in this man is very good. And I mean, he's got very strong lateral agility, which is a definite positive as well. We always talk about, the juking ability of Shady McCoy being the standard, Barry Sanders being the standard. Tyjae Spears is definitely not there in that category, but the change of direction, lateral agility is very close to being a top end level for me. He's able to shift and move and set up his defenders to miss tackles tackles because he is that good. Sharp cuts are extremely quick, and I like the foot quickness in that respect when he is making the cuts and the change of direction movements. It is very good in a Tyjae Spears. I mean, you want to see the fluidity. I don't know if I can say it's fluidity, but in his cut ability, it's very good, very sharp and quick. He possesses very good body balance, fabulous body balance, and we see it whenever he's engaging with tacklers, would-be tacklers. He just keeps steady, and I mean, he spins off them. He breaks tackles when it comes to the juke and shake, the cut movements. He's not necessarily a bully either, but he's able to at least evade tacklers with slippery moves and very good change of direction movements. Inside-outside runner, I'm going to say more outside than inside, but that does not stop him from going inside in between the tackles, and a lot of people don't like that about his game. They say it's not very good. I'm going to call it his vision above average, and I think that he can get in between the tackles relatively well. I'm not going to say it's great at this point, but I do believe it's good enough where if he was installed into an offense in the NFL and given a lion's share of the volume and carries, I think he would handle it very well, not just being the outside guy, even though I do believe he is better going to the outside than he is going to the inside. But man, he gets that edge very well with that burst, extreme burst to get to the edge and then find his way either galloping for a big chunk yard play or finding his way into the end zone. He does that very well on the outside, and that could be part of where his MO is in the NFL. The change of pace running back with speed and the ability to get outside, where the other running back could be the inside bulldozing type of back. That's potentially what we could say about a Tyjae Spears right now. Like I said, vision above average. I'm okay with it. I don't think it's a knock. I think he's got skills, he's got ability, and then he could round it out with some more tutelage in the pros, and they could show him a couple things to get that vision even better, man. He's got good slip tackle. I'm telling y'all, it's not good break tackle, it's slip tackle, but he was 5th best in all of college football with yards after contact, and this is what I'm saying. He embraces the contact. He absorbs contact. He's able to slip it, and then he continues down the field to gain more yards. So this is the thing. He's like a slippery type of guy, but he is put together enough that, would-be tacklers can bounce off of him based on these movements and shifty abilities. So, I mean, again, you want to talk about a Tyjae Spears and say, can he do some power running? Maybe from time to time, but it's not what you're looking at when you're talking about a Spears. It is, even though yards after contact are massive, you want to see a running back get those yards after point of contact, and Spears does it very well. He does not quit. These feet continue to move, and that's another big positive as well for me. For your running backs, are you falling forward or are they knocking you backward on your butt? Spears definitely falls forward a lot, and I mean, he continues to move his feet, and I think that's a big positive in his game as well, which will aid in this ability in the pros also. You want to keep your feet moving, chunking along, and hopefully, with his ability to break and slip tackles with, I want to say, finesse rather than power. There's the word I was looking and searching for, but he's able to do that because his feet do not stop. He will make spin moves, he will make juke moves, and then he's continuing down the field. His hands have improved enough for me to say, you know what, it's a positive, and I think that's what I wanted to see. I can say now he is a good receiving back. Not a great receiving back, but he is good enough. And I think in the screen game, he will be very valuable, especially with the speed that he does possess. Tyjae Spears should have a clear, defined role in the NFL once he gets on a roster, especially with a team that already has somebody as the, first and second down back. Tyjae Spears could be, that change of pace guy, kind of like an Alexander Madison type of dude. Not saying the games are similar. I think the role would be very similar for somebody like a Tyjae Spears, but for some cons, everybody's got him. We know this, and I mean, he runs. So there was a thing. I'm going to caveat this before we get started in these cons. There was something about Spears that I just did not like. I did not covet about his game, and I said, I cannot pinpoint what it is, and I found it. I think it is his heavy feet. He runs with heavy feet, and I do not like it. It's similar to somebody like an Isaiah Pacheco, okay? I get it. He plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. He did look very good this past season. It does not stop the ability of how he runs the football. Pacheco, I'm speaking of. I do not like it. It looks so unorthodox, so off balance, and still yet he's productive. Tyjae Spears is in that similar category, not where he's off balance running the football, but he runs with heavy feet. It's like he's got cinder blocks on them damn feet, man. Like, pick them up and move. Like, every time I saw his tape, I'm like, can you just pick up your feet, homie? Like, do it. Either way, Tyjae Spears, he does show enough ability where even with the heavy feet, he can still be productive. But it is a check down for me when how I covet my running backs. You guys know I love my fluidity in my runners. And I mean, can I say he's not fluid? No, but it is heavy feet, and it does, give me some pause for sure, man. He is somewhat of a short strider as well. It's not necessarily a huge knock because some short striders, they can still, make their way to heavy yardage and gains. So, I mean, it's just more of a statement than a con. I want to see the good stride. I don't necessarily want to see like 8 steps when he can take 6 or 4. That's kind of what I'm talking about. So it's not a big deal, but it is something that you got to take and keep note of for sure for Spears. Doesn't have those breakaway wheels. Yes, we have seen him make the house calls, with some good maneuvering, good movements. But, I mean, it's against slower defenders. He may be able to do this in the pros as well. If there are slower safeties and he gets behind them, perhaps he's going to make a house call from time to time. But don't count on it every single time. It's not elite home run wheels whatsoever. And majority of the time, he will get caught from behind. I do want to say he can over-exaggerate these jukes and shake moves. I'm telling y'all, the duck and dip and drop of the helmet. I mean, he did it even in the Senior Bowl where he was running the route over the middle, and then he did this like super duck underneath a defensive player. It's over-exaggerated to me, and a couple clean clock shots to the head in the NFL is going to make him stop that ASAP. I get it. It's part of his game. He's trying to showcase some flash and ability. He's got enough that he doesn't need to do that. I really don't like that about his game because it can definitely hamper him and injure him, send him to the medical room for long periods of time. It is not good. No bueno. Get rid of that stuff right now. Again, the juke moves and the shake moves are good enough for me to say it's a positive. Just, don't exaggerate it so much when you don't have to. And I think that's part of it. He's trying to extend the plays and make things happen. I think that's part of what he does extremely well. Physicality is not top end. You're not going to necessarily rely on a Spears in the backfield for goal line upside. I maybe 50% of the time you'll give him the opportunity because he is so good going to the outside and the burst will get him there. But is he going to go straight up the gut all the time with a lower leg leverage? Probably not, and it's probably not going to be something in his game either. But he does have enough cut ability that he's very good at finding the hole, and it's not necessarily full patience, but he understands how to set up his blockers better where he finds the hole. So I think that could be a positive for him as well on the goal line. But when we're talking physicality, not necessarily going to be there where he's going to just plow into the line, be a short yardage back, and get the touchdown or get the first down. Not likely, but if he's going to be able to, you want him in there on a 3rd and short, he's going to be able to make a couple moves likely and then get through the line. So physicality is not necessarily top end, but he does play with other finesse moves that will get him through. Pass pro requires coaching improvement. Absolutely. Like a lot of these running backs coming into the pros, they need some work on the pass pro, and that's number one if you want to remain on the field, especially if you're going to be a change of pace back. You got to understand how to pick up blitzers. You got to understand how to block for your quarterback. This is something that definitely lacks in Tyjae Spears' game right now, and he's got to improve that. I think his body frame is good enough that it shouldn't hamper him physically, where he could at least stand and take some pressure and take some heat. But he's got to understand the leg stance and the leverage, all that type of stuff in the pass pro will definitely help him and go a long way. Some injury history, the shoulder. He had that ACL back in 2020. Something to watch. I mean, any running back that's already ripped his ACL, you got to understand and put that on the bar to say, okay, it's already an injury risk to one damaged knee. Potentially the other one could go, or risk to re-injury to the same knee is always there and present and potential-wise where he could get, dropped lower down the board based on these medicals. The shoulder injury wasn't as big as the ACL was, but I mean, again, you got to write it down what he was dealing with. A couple other little nagging injuries, but nothing really overly too concerning outside of that ACL. But for grading purposes, he's a good player, and I don't want to bash the guy. I think he is very good in what he does do well. It was one of those things. I said there was something about his game that I necessarily did not covet, did not really like, and I figured out it was the heavy feet that I did not really like about him. But we're talking about grade score. It is 73.3% for a Tyjae Spears. It's not a bad score, and I mean, anybody that's going to sit here and tell me that it's a terrible score for a guy that you're trying to pump up the draft board, I get it. But I mean, Spears is what he is right now for me. I think there needs to be a little bit more seen. Yes, he did gain over 1,500 yards on 230 carries this past year. That's fantastic, especially showcasing the fact that he came off the ACL 2 years prior and was able to run for 1,500 yards. That's a big positive. No kidding. I like it a lot. But I got to put the caveat on some of these check boxes that he did not get, in my opinion. He does have talent. He does have skill, but I do believe that he could fall all the way down to day 3, and that's kind of where he should rest for me. He might sneak in, end of the 3rd round, but I think day 3 is kind of the product where you got Tyjae Spears this year. So there you have it. That is Tyjae Spears. He is Tulane. How about that Tulane logo, man? I don't think you can get better than that wave. It's just glorious. But, I mean, he is what he is. I think he's a good player. He's not a great player at this point. If I'm wrong, I love being wrong because then I can go back and say, where did I miss scout? But I don't think I'm wrong here. I think he's a good talent. I think he will provide value to a club that requires a running back of his skill set. Change of pace with good finesse, juke ability, shake ability. I think that's where he's going to be, succeeding in the NFL. Is he going to be a 3-down back? I highly doubt it. And I think that he's going to need somebody to split him in this in the pros. And I think it's going to, bode well depending on what team grabs him. But it's going to be definitely scheme-specific and team-specific where his NFL success will continue to move forward. But I got some question marks on a Tyjae Spears right now. He's good enough. Is he great? At this point, I'm going to, err on the side of caution and say no. But anyway, nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments. Give me your thoughts. What do you think of Tyjae Spears? Is he your guy? Do you like him on any parts of his game? Throw it in the comments. We can definitely talk it out, but we'll see you next time. I am out.